Hello friends, welcome. Today we will discuss heart. Look at this picture. This is the anterior surface of the heart. And the structures which we can see here, this is right atrium. This is right ventricle. This is left ventricle. And this is the left auricle. This is pulmonary trunk. This is ascending aorta, and this structure is superior vena cava, and this is the inferior vena cava. So this is the anterior surface of the heart. And see, this anterior surface, because the heart is present behind the sternum and the costal cartilage, so anterior surface is also known as the sternocostal surface of the heart. And this heart, it has four borders. This is right border, this border is right border. This border, this is the inferior border. This is left border, and this is the superior border. So now see the heart. First of all, what is the location of heart? Where does it present? It is present in middle mediastinum. Behind the sternum. Above the central tendon. Above the central tendon of diaphragm. So this is the position, or this is the location of the heart. Now this heart has four borders. So see, superior border. Superior border of the heart, it is formed by upper border of left atrium plus great vessels. What is great vessels? Great vessels are those vessels which are directly connected to the heart, either receiving the blood or draining the blood. As see here, this is the right, this is the upper border. So it is completely occupied by the great vessels: pulmonary trunk, ascending aorta, and the superior vena cava. So these are all great vessels. Inferior vena cava is also a great vessel. So all the vessels which are directly connected to the heart, they are great vessels. The next border is the right border. Right border of the heart, it is formed by superior vena cava, right atrium, and inferior vena cava. The next is the inferior border. The inferior border of the heart, this is formed by right ventricle and left ventricle. Then the left border of the heart. Left border of the heart, this is formed by left ventricle and left auricle. What is auricle? This auricle, it is the rudimentary extension. It is the rudimentary part of left atrium. The same auricle, that is the right auricle, is present in the right side also. So these are the four borders of the heart. The next heading is the surfaces of heart. Heart has five surfaces, and their name is anterior surface, which is also known as the sternocostal surface. Anterior surface or sternocostal surface. How it is formed? It is formed by the right ventricle and left ventricle. The right ventricle, it contributes 2/3, left ventricle, it contributes 1/3. The next surface is the inferior surface or the diaphragmatic surface. This is formed by right ventricle and left ventricle. Right ventricle, this is 1/3, and left ventricle, this is 2/3. So it means greater part of the left ventricle present on inferior surface. Because it is present on the central tendon of diaphragm, that is why its name is diaphragmatic surface. The third surface is the posterior surface. This is also known as the base of heart. This is formed by left atrium plus 4 pulmonary veins. And right atrium. But right atrium has minor contribution. But both atria forms the base of the heart. It is a very important point. In many times this question has been asked, what chambers form the base of the heart? So answer is both the atria. The next is the right border of the heart, also known as the right lateral border. The right lateral border of the heart, this is formed by the same structures which are forming the right border. I mean superior vena cava, right atrium, and then inferior vena cava. The right border or the right lateral border. Then the next is the left border or left lateral border. This is formed by again the same structure, left ventricle and left auricle. So these are the borders and surfaces of the heart. Now the next heading is the chambers of heart. Heart has 4 chambers. First of all, right atrium. This right atrium, it is divided into 3 parts. Number first is the rough anterior part. It is also known as pectinate part. That is why we can make a mnemonic here, this RAP, rough anterior pectinate part. The roughness is provided by musculi pectinati. These musculi pectinati, these are the cardiac muscle. So the cardiac muscle of the atrium is known as the musculi pectinati. These musculi pectinati, they takes origin from the, these musculi pectinati, they take origin from crista terminalis. This crista terminalis, it produces a longitudinal groove on left surface of heart, extends from superior vena cava to inferior vena cava, and that groove is known as, that is, sulcus terminalis. That groove is known as the sulcus terminalis. And what is the significance of the sulcus terminalis? As a node present in sulcus terminalis. As a node, this is the pacemaker of the heart. The other features, anterior cardiac veins. These are the veins of the heart. Anterior cardiac veins, they open here. Anterior cardiac veins. And anterior cardiac veins, these are the tributaries of the heart. Now the second part is smooth posterior part. This is also known as the sinus venerum. All tributaries of right atrium opens here except anterior cardiac veins. So what are the other tributaries? The other tributaries, their name are superior vena cava. Second is inferior vena cava. Third is coronary sinus. These are the tributaries. As we see, it has no valve. Inferior vena cava opening in the right atrium, it is guarded by a valve. This is known as Eustachian valve. Coronary sinus, it is guarded by a valve which is known as a Thebasian valve. The third part of the right atrium is Interaterial Septum. The features of Interaterial Septum is fossa ovalis. This is formed by septum primum. Then limbus fossa ovalis, also known as annulus ovalis. This is formed by septum secundum. Now, another feature which is present in the interatrial septum, this is triangle of Koch. What are the boundaries of the triangle of Koch? This, it is superiorly, it is inferiorly, and this is anterolaterally. So superiorly it is bounded by tendon of Trodero. Inferiorly it is bounded by coronary sinus. Anterolaterally it is bounded by the septal leaflet, of tricuspid valve. So these are the three boundaries of the triangle of Koch which is present within the interatrial septum, and these features, they are visible only from the right side. That is the fossa ovalis, limbus fossa ovalis, and triangle of Koch. What is tendon of Trodero? This tendon of Trodero, it is a bundle of collagen fibers and it is present in subendocardial space. Now, what is the content of this triangle of Koch? The content of triangle of Koch is this AV node, the second pacemaker of the heart, this AV node. So these are the features of right atrium. So friends, as you seen, we have discussed the features of the right atrium. So now see the interatrial septum in this image. This is the fossa ovalis or the oval fossa, and this is the margin. This margin is known as the annulus ovalis. So I am talking about this margin, this margin, this is the annulus ovalis or limbus fossa ovalis. So fossa ovalis formed by the septum primum, and this limbus fossa ovalis, it is formed by the septum secundum. Both septum, they fuse to form interatrial septum. Then see this is the opening of the coronary sinus. This coronary sinus, it is the largest vein of the heart. All the venous blood from the body is coming into the right atrium via superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and the venous blood of the heart is coming to the right atrium via coronary sinus. This is the coronary sinus, which is guarded by Thebesian valve. And this black color dotted line, it is showing the tendon of Todaro, which is the bundle of collagen fiber. So I told you the boundaries of the triangle couch. It is bounded superiorly by tendon of Todaro. It is bounded inferiorly by coronary sinus, and it is bounded anterolaterally by septal leaflet of tricuspid valve. So this triangular structure, this is the triangle of Koch, and it contains AV node, which is not visible here, but AV node is present within the triangle of Koch. So these are the features of right atrium. Now we will discuss the features of right ventricle. The right ventricle, it is divided into two parts, inflowing part and outflowing part. This inflowing part, it is rough, and outflowing part is smooth. It is also known as infundibulum. Now the inflowing part, which is receiving the blood from the right atrium, it is rough, and this roughness is because of trabeculae carni. Trabeculae carni. What is trabeculae carni? It is a cardiac muscle. So the cardiac muscle which is present in ventricles, they are known as trabeculae carni. And these trabeculae carni, they are three types: ridge, bridge, and pillars. The pillars, they are also known as the papillary muscles. And now see the papillary muscles. These papillary muscles, they are three papillary muscle in right ventricle, while two papillary muscle in left ventricle. And the ridges, the example of ridges is septomarginal trabeculae. Septomarginal trabeculae. This is the ridge and or moderator band, and it is the feature of right ventricle. It is present in right ventricle. So in both the ventricles, trabeculae carni are present. There are three types: ridge and pillars. So ridges, one example is septomarginal trabeculae or moderator band, which is present in the right ventricle. The pillars are the papillary muscles, and the number of papillary muscles are proportional to the number of cusp in atrioventricular valve. The right ventricle, right atrioventricular valve is the tricuspid valve. So right ventricle has three papillary muscles, while the left ventricle, it has two papillary muscles. The other features which are important in both right ventricle and the left ventricle is the ratio of the wall thickness. Left ventricle, the ratio is 1:3. It means the wall of the left ventricle is 3 times thicker. And another point is shape of the cavity of right ventricle and left ventricle on transverse section. Shape of the cavity of right ventricle and left ventricle. When we are taking the transverse section, the cavity of the right ventricle, this is crescent shape, and the cavity of the left ventricle, this is circular. So these are the important features of right ventricle, right ventricle as well as the left ventricle. Now the next heading is the blood circulation of heart or blood supply of heart. So first we will talk about the venous drainage of the heart. Veins of the heart, they are arranged in three groups. The first is coronary sinus. This is largest vein of the heart. It is 3 centimeter long. And we know it opens in right atrium. The name of valve is the Bayesian valve. It has tributaries. What are the tributaries of coronary sinus? Number 1, great cardiac vein. Number 2, middle cardiac vein. Number 3 is small cardiac vein. Number 4, oblique vein of left atrium. Number 5th, posterior vein of left ventricle. And number 6, right marginal vein. So these are the 6 tributaries of the coronary sinus. Easy to remember 3 names: great cardiac vein, middle cardiac vein, and small cardiac vein. Oblique vein of the left atrium, it is also known as Marshall vein. So this is the one set of vein. The second set of veins is anterior cardiac veins. These are 3 to 4 in number and they open independently in right atrium. A question is like, which is not the tributary of coronary sinus? Answer is anterior cardiac veins. The second question, it was asked in the AIIMS exam, if coronary sinus is blocked, then which vein will not be affected? Answer is anterior cardiac vein, because it open or they open independently. Now the third group of veins is the vena caudae minimi, also known as the Bayesian veins. These are minute veins. These are multiple veins. And they open in all 4 chambers. So if someone asks which vein open in the left ventricle, the answer is vena caudae minimi. So this is the venous system, venous drainage of the heart. The next topic will be the coronary circulation of the heart.